in Houston, what's going on is this. Churches are under attack, and we talked about it yesterday and the day before. And people are being subpoenaed, and Christian pastors are in they don't know who to turn to. Well, someone who's been helping them out is the Alliance Defending Freedom. Joining us now live on the air is Kerri Kupec. She is the Alliance Defending Freedom Legal Communications Director, also a lawyer, but we won't hold that against you, Kerri. How are you?
Thank
you. When we heard this story, because we don't live in Houston, we're out of Northern California. I lived outside of Beaumont. I lived in Beaumont, which was real close to Houston, and went to Houston all the time. I always thought Texas was a smart, sane place. And then when I heard this story, I was like, what? I was totally shocked. How did you first hear about it?
Right. Well, they say everything's bigger in Texas, right? I guess that means even Big Brother.
That's right. That's right.
And that we are representing 5 pastors who have been subjected to their attacks by the city council, by the mayor, simply for exercising their free speech rights. They have been subpoenaed, as you know, to turn over 17 different types of communication, including text messages, emails, updated resumes, simply because the mayor is upset that they have disagreed with her policies in the past, that they speak about issues such as homosexuality and gender identity. And it's really become a witch hunt to chill these pastors into not speaking anymore and to make them think twice. Let me ask you
a question about that. I know in Christianity, there's some people think that Christians are a little, their views on homosexuals isn't very tolerant or whatever. I don't care. We're not going to discuss that now. But I also know in Islam that they're not too thrilled about gay people and transgender things. Could you just check how many imams from the Nation of Islam, how many Islamic preachers were also subpoenaed?
Right. And the reality is, like you were alluding to, it's not really about the content of the ordinance or even the occupation or the theology of these particular pastors. The bottom line question is, do any of us want to live under a regime of fear and intimidation in which the government can threaten, silence, and punish citizens for merely disagreeing with them?
Kerri, to that, this is Chris here, why these pastors in particular?
Because these pastors had been part, prior to this lawsuit, they had been part of a movement to get signatures together and sort of form this coalition to get this ordinance before the people to vote on, which is the proper electoral way of doing these things. But they are actually not part of this lawsuit. The lawsuit simply stems around one issue, which is, did the city act lawfully with respect to certifying these signatures on the ballot for this particular ordinance? And the city responded by attacking 5 pastors who were not even suing them and going after their personal and public communication, really just as a means of intimidation and bullying.
Let me make it really clear. What happened is in Houston they want to make it. Well, I guess they made it okay. I don't know for men to use the same bathrooms as women. Transgender. If you're a guy and just go, today I feel like I'm a woman, I can go use the woman's room. And
that's correct.
Little kids got to go, Daddy, why is this 600-pound man standing next to me? Well, because we're Houston. But that's what it's about. And these preachers and a lot of people in Houston are saying, you know what, this stuff is kind of crap, so let's get together and get it on the ballot, have the people vote about it. Well, for doing that, that's one of the reasons, Chris, that how dare you? How dare you? Let me ask you, Houston's got the first lesbian mayor. Does the fact that she's a lesbian have anything to do with this?
I mean, I can't figure out why the mayor is doing what she's doing, but what I can tell you is that she is sending a very clear message to the pastors and the residents of Houston. Speak up and you will pay.
That's exactly right. I've been talking about how I think like Jackie Robinson was the first black player. Here we got Houston, the first lesbian woman, and the first thing she does is something that people have always. I don't care if you're a lesbian. I don't care who we are. As long as you do the job, that's what the attitude should be. Whatever you do the job, I don't care. But when finally Houston says, okay, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. She's not going to bring her political leftist views on this. First thing she does is she goes after people who disagree with her view of transgender and homosexuality. I wouldn't vote for her again, to tell you the truth. Let me ask you a question which I wonder about, and I don't understand this. If you're a church or a mosque or a temple or something, you should be allowed freedom of speech to preach your religious belief. But when you start saying don't vote for this mayor, or I'm supporting the Kennedys, or blah, 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 don't they cross the line? And could the other side be saying, well, these preachers, they weren't just preaching about God, they were getting political, so that's what we're attacking them for?
Well, that's a separate issue, but that's not what's at issue here. But what you're talking about points to a bigger issue that we've seen in this country. Pastors don't surrender their First Amendment freedom of speech just because they take the pulpit. For example, they don't surrender their protection against search and seizures, right, in the Fourth Amendment because they take the pulpit. They don't surrender other rights because they take the pulpit. Yet, for some reason, in this country, if a pastor dares to talk about political things, everyone panics. And that's not what this is about, because, again, these pastors have been subjected to this demand for even private text messages about a whole host of issues that range from, say, an opinion about the mayor to gender identity.
So they ask for opinions about the mayor? This is amazing me. This seems like Germany, Nazi Germany. But so we want anything you've written or talked about with your opinion of the mayor.
Yes.
Wow.
And that it's between members of their congregation, people on the outside, there are a bunch of categories, but it's very comprehensive, it's very broad, and it's quite shocking.
A lot of people don't like trouble, so they're okay, well, let me just go along. I find a lot of people are basically like sheep and cows moo, and the pastors, they decided not to just take it, and they approached you, or did you approach them?
I'm not clear as to how that happened, but I do know that we are representing those 5 pastors. We have filed, with the motion with the court to ask them to stop this from going forward, because it really is not just about religious freedom. This is a free speech issue that every citizen of Houston should be concerned about, because it's clear that the mayor and the city council will not tolerate dissent, and they are intent on shutting down free discourse and debate, and that's incredibly unconstitutional.
Kerri, we thank God, and I know that a lot of my atheist listeners get mad when I say we thank God for the Alliance Defending Freedom and people like you. I got to tell you that.
Kerri, it looks like they're going to back down from this instance, but what kind of precedent does this set? What does the future look like for us regarding something like this? Seems like it would be impossible to happen in the United States, and yet here it is.
Yes, it is happening, all right. And but we've seen an attack on free speech, quite frankly, for a couple of years now. You have the situations with bakers and florists and photographers, and there seems to be people are not understanding the big picture here, is that all Americans should be free to live and work, according to their beliefs, to speak freely and engage in public and discourse. Debate is not a bad thing. Debate is necessary to keeping a free and open society. And if a government, such as the one in Houston, sends this message that dissent will not be tolerated, and if you dare disagree with the powers that be, we will make your life miserable, it certainly presents a foreboding outlook on the future.
But I think, Kerri, we're missing the main issue, and the main issue is that liberals are all for free speech. You can say whatever you want. Just don't say something I disagree with. Don't say hate speech, and anything I disagree with is hate speech. So these people are for freedom of speech. We are maligning the beautiful liberals of America.
Right, and we've all said those that chant tolerance never really believe that.
Yeah.
And the evidence continues to mount, as you said.
Yeah, I'm totally tolerant of an Islamic imam teaching about Islam. I'm tolerant about a Christian preacher teaching about the Son of God, a Jewish guy talking whatever, about the Bible. If you're a Buddha, you want to sit there and look at your belly button, God bless you. That's what America's all about. But for some reason, and like Kerri said, recently people have forgotten about that. Kerri, right. we want to put a link on our website, DominickOnAir.com, links. Can people help the Alliance Defending Freedom? Do you guys take donations, or how do you guys get funded?
We do. We offer all of our legal services pro bono, so we do not charge people for representing them. So our website address is alliancedefendingfreedom.org. Or if people are interested in learning a little bit more about the cases and looking at the legal documents themselves, they can go to adsmedia.org.
Well, Kerri, keep up the good work. It's the first time we've ever had anyone from the Alliance Defending Freedom on the show, and you guys do just stellar work. Never thought this would happen in Houston. I thought this would happen where we broadcast, San Francisco.
San Francisco. You think that's
why hasn't this happened in San Francisco? I feel kind of let out. Why hasn't this happened here? I don't know. We have people. Kerri, you want extra work? Bring the Alliance for Defending Freedom to San Francisco, where people are demanding they have the right to walk around naked.
Kerri, we live in a crazy world these days.
Hey, you've been a delight. Thanks for being on the show.
And thanks for having me on.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was Kerri from the Alliance for Defending Freedom. And I got to tell you, man, they do some good work.
Dominick on the Air. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the Boost Radio Network.